Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Today, I'm joined by my guy, Gavin from NBA Real Talk. How's it going, my man?
Oh, happy to be here. Really looking forward to what we got coming up today.
Yeah, man. So, as you see by the title, we got a street ball draft of NBA players. So, the more I thought about this, like, we were only going to have maybe 10, 12 or something like that. But I'm like, there's just too many good street ball players that, like, I got to at least recognize them enough to put them in the pool. So I picked 40 players that we're going to choose between, and we're going to draft our 12-man teams. We know that 12 people wouldn't play on a street ball team, but we gotta recognize a lot of people today. Though I thought the way we could decide it, though, like the order is like we could do little rock paper scissors with our eyes closed. Whoever wins that gets the number one pick, and then we'll just alternate as it goes. So, are you ready for that?
I'm ready. Close my eyes on 3.
All right, close your eyes, and we'll do it on shoot too. Like,
okay.
Ready?
Okay.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay, we can check. What do you have? Oh,
I had my eyes. I swear to God, I had scissors.
Okay, I'll take your word for it, because yeah, I think you did have scissors. Like, I could kind of see it in the corner, but okay, that's.
I
Hey,
would
man.
not cheat.
What was the thing you said before? Even before we recorded, you learn and evolve.
Yeah, you learn and evolve. I found some vet tricks there.
That was indeed a vet trick. But anyways, so like I said, we'll have 12 rounds. We'll each have a pick. So you'll start the first round, then I'll start the second. You'll start third, I'll start fourth, until we get to round 12. So you have the first pick in the street ball draft. And I will preface too, before we even get into it, like, I feel like people are gonna look at this and be like, "Oh, that's a dumb pick." You know, like, obviously this guy's better than that guy, but it's a street ball based, draft too. So it's like, you might think, well, this guy's obviously better than him in the NBA, but is he better in a street ball, like 5v5 type of game? That's the biggest thing.
There is strategy involved. Street ball is different too. It's not like the NBA. You got to be able to hit. You can't be shooting, 40, 50%. Everybody on that court's expected to shoot a high percentage. If you can't play, you're getting tugged out. So, you know what I mean? You gotta be able to hold up. So there's so many obvious names on this list. I got the hat on. Yes, I am a biased fan, but I think my first pick, I think I am. Oh man, I think I just gotta go with AI. I am going with AI because I just think we're talking street ball here. You got to be a dog. You got to want it. You got to want to play. Is anybody going to go harder on that street ball court than AI? No, maybe. You got Jordan. You got Kobe. You got a lot of killers in here. But man, if you talk about the all-encompassing game, the style, and someone who's going to wreak havoc out on the court and who's kind of made play on the asphalt, I think it's him. The toughness, the grit, plus the skill, because we've seen when he shows up to NBA All-Star games and stuff. He kind of puts the scoring away for a second, and he shows you what kind of art he can create out there on the free flow, on the fast break. I just think, despite the fact it would be such an obvious pick for anyone who knows me, I think it's the pick I got to go with, AI.
I like that pick. I feel like, I'm kind of playing more defensive because I've seen who your first pick is. So I got to think who can combat Allen Iverson. And I feel like the most obvious answer of who can combat him, this guy has, street ball experience. We've seen him literally in his little, like, YouTube clips, and, like, also, like, in the movie as well. Uncle Drew, Kyrie Irving. I'm going to go with that as my first overall pick. He's someone who can facilitate for sure, but especially, like, if they're playing at, like, Rucker Park, like, everyone's going to get behind Kyrie Irving as well. And that might just be like, I don't know. I feel like this is like a good matchup that we got going on already with Kyrie and AI.
Yeah, I can't. You know what? It's so funny because the internet has made more than enough light of talking about all the flaws with Kyrie. But there's one thing you can't doubt: when he gets out on that street ball court, he's out there to show up. Place where, like, you got to show up and you got to show off. Oh man, he's very much. You're talking about 1A, not even 1A and 1B, just two number ones, and which one you want to pick.
For sure,
pick your
yeah.
point. Yeah, for sure. Okay. So we got Kyrie.
So yeah, you picked Iverson. I got Kyrie. So now I'll start off the second round. Um, you know, there's not like a whole lot of bigs on this list, and I feel like a lot of the centers on here are like obviously supremely great players, but it's a matter of who would I want to pick that fits the most for street ball or something like that. Someone who's gonna play, aggressive. And I'm thinking like in their prime as well, both ends of the floor, just a dominant figure. And even though I probably wouldn't say he's the greatest center ever, although he's very close to, I feel like I gotta go with the Diesel, man. I'm gonna go with Shaq as my pick.
I was looking at these other names. I was hoping you might pick one of the other guys and leave me Shaq. God, great pick.
Yeah,
great pick.
It was a tough decision between him and another player who I think will get drafted eventually. I won't say his name because if you don't pick him, I probably will maybe eventually. So, but yeah.
Okay. Second pick. Well, so we got to get strategic already because I feel like if I leave this guy too long, he might scoop him up. I want to go Kareem, but I'm going to go Kobe. My reason with going with Kobe is the obvious reason, the one-on-one style. And even though street ball is still usually 5-on-5 or 3-on-3, there's so much one-on-one is so much a part of what you do on street ball. But number one reason I'm picking him is for his tough shot making ability. That's basically primary reason for me to pick him. Is just there's always going to be all these one-on-one matchups and breakdowns, and guys are going to be standing around, and all the fans are going to be practically on the court and all that. I don't know, when you watch those street ball videos online, it stresses me out how close the fans get. But it's going to be those close quarters, high stakes, battled out games, and we've even seen footage of Kobe, not in the park, but at showing up to those high school gyms or whatever. Those weren't Rico Hines runs, were they? I can't remember, but he's showing up to the gym and shutting it down. So I put my trust in Kobe to hit those tough shots.
Yeah, I respect that pick. We took teammates back to back because I took Shaq, he took Kobe. But I don't know. I feel like now in the second round we're both like setting a bar for each of us, like that how we're both gonna respond in our draft. But you have the first pick in round 3. Who are you gonna take here?
It's gotta either be Kareem or Wilt. So I think I'm gonna go with Kareem just because I got my guy who can wreak havoc out in the court in AI. I've got Kobe to make my tough shots. Now I need that guy with the unstoppable move. And that's Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. It's pretty simple, right? The most unstoppable move in the history of sports and whatever Stephen A. Smith said or whatever. So I'm throwing Kareem in there. I just think he's going to be my all-around guy, and he's going to be my rock. He's going to be the guy I can rely on.
I like that. I think that's probably definitely one of the better choices you could have made, especially because I took Shaq most recently. This next guy, a lot of my picks have kind of been more, I guess, strategic based because I'm already trying to like exploit where your like maybe weaknesses could be, or like at least try to have someone who can match it. You know what I mean? So I have a counter attack, and this guy could probably be a counter attack for your pick in the second round. But I also just think that naturally it doesn't matter. I feel like if it's the NBA or street ball, he's going to dominate, and it's going to be Michael Jordan. I'm taking Michael Jordan. I didn't want to do it right away only because, like you said, you took AI, so I had to take Kyrie. I mean, that just kind of makes sense. And then kind of had to, put some pressure on you by getting a dominant big because there's not really a whole lot of them here. But I feel like right now I got 2 picks. I think I can use one of them on Michael Jordan. Yeah.
No, I mean, what can you say? It's you can't go wrong picking Michael Jordan for anything, I mean, that's even true. A 3-point even though he didn't shoot them, whatever it has to do with basketball, you really can't go wrong picking Michael Jordan. Like someone was I remember the other day, someone was saying something about how he's the greatest defender of all time. And for a second, I was like, well, he's not the greatest defender of all time. And then I started thinking about his defense. It's like, the strip on Malone before the last shot and his defensive intelligence. I'm like, maybe he is the best defender of all time. So you can't go wrong with Michael Jordan for any kind of pick for anything.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to do it. It seems kind of too obvious. I know it doesn't seem like the cool pick just because
It's the
Michael
safe
Jordan.
pick.
Yeah, but it is indeed the safe pick. But I do have another choice here. I'm thinking like, I got my point guard, my main ball handler. I got Michael Jordan. He's going to be the assassin on the court. Mentally for sure. And then, Shaq, he's just going to dominate. So I'm thinking like, now I'm kind of thinking of like wings that I might need. And this is where you said like shooting comes into play. I want someone who I know can play off the ball. And this guy is a premier street ball player. I think you have a feeling who I'm going to pick, especially because he definitely showed out in the year with the lockout, and he was cooking people that whole time. Kevin Durant, I'm going with as my fourth pick, or my pick in round 4.
I could take that. Another great pick, but I was scared you're going to say someone else. So, I'd take KD, but you can have him. You can have him.
I got KD and Kyrie. It didn't completely work out, but hey, if I'm coaching this team, I'll make it work out, man.
Hey man, everyone loves a good redeem team.
And putting him with MJ and Shaq, I mean that's pretty good company.
That's pretty good. That's what 3 is Shaq top 10 scoring all time?
Yeah, I think he's like 7th or 8th or something, somewhere around there.
KD's either top 10 or he will be, so he'll be top. He might go down as the greatest. So, all right, you got KD. So, you gave me an opportunity to go with who I was worried you might go with for a sec. I'm going T-Mac, Tracy McGrady. 13 points, 33 seconds kind of guy. Yes, he never went as far as he could have in his career. But the bottom line is you're talking about a guy who can just give you buckets in bunches and that the defense is going to have so much problems trying to stop. That's T-Mac. And, he's my guy that I think can just dribble up the court and pull it from 3 all night, or do whatever he's going to do. So I got to go with T-Mac.
Yeah, I mean, people might think I'm crazy for this, but like if we're talking about like both of them on fire, like Kevin Durant and Tracy McGrady, like that would be a back and forth battle. You know what I mean? Like
that's why I thought T-Mac, and he said KD. T-Mac, even though he's a bit shorter, same guy pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, people forget, bro. T-Mac, when he was with the Magic, he was going back and forth with like Kobe. So
yeah, he was just a problem, kind of like the way people talk about Melo or something. That's the kind of guy T-Mac was for those guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but with your next pick in round 5, speaking of Melo, he's still on the board. Are you going to take him, or are you going to go a different direction?
I'm not going Melo. I think it might be time to I think it might be time to be a bit of an interrupter because you got Shaq, and I don't think Kareem can stop him. Let's go. Let's just do it. Let's pull the trigger. Wilt Chamberlain.
Dang. All right. See, that's who I was gonna take if I wasn't gonna take Shaq.
Yeah.
I was thinking about taking Wilt. But
I think I just double up on my size and know that you got a guy down there who can dominate, and Shaq's a great passer. I'm going to try to make you, at least thus far, I'm going to try to make you get him to kick it out a little, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like now, well, obviously we're not all the way in, but I feel like now we kind of have an idea where like you're going to try and more like dominate like the paint area, like the mid-range, and like more so my guys is more like a pace and space type of thing.
Yeah.
So I gotta think from that perspective though. So with my 5th pick,
I could be misdirecting you too. I could just make you think that's where I'm going, but who knows?
It could be, and then you just draft like 8 sharpshooters, or 7 or whatever. But my next pick, I'm trying to think. Like, I could run KD at the 4. I could do that. Now I don't know if you're starting both those bigs. He might have his work cut out for him a lot there. So you know what? Just to as we said, the safe pick. This might seem crazy, might seem a little crazy, but I need someone who has the size that can defend, someone who's been a proven high-level defensive player for many years, at least in the association. You know, he's probably not as decorated in terms of street ball as these other guys, but he has played his fair share of street ball. And I think just his athleticism as a whole could kind of, you know, definitely give me the surge I need to compete with your two bigs. I'm going to go with Dwight Howard.
I was thinking about Dwight last pick, but then I, went in the other direction for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, especially because, again, like, every time we pick, except the first and last pick for you in the whole draft, it's back-to-back. So, like, I got to use one kind of to respond, and then I got to use one to how am I going to, put a little pressure on, like, your next couple picks. So, yeah, I think that's the move I'm going to make. I could run him at the 4 if I want, but now it's like I got a nice enough tandem. I'm not really losing, I guess, in the shooting department, at least right now, but you still have me beat probably in terms of like size and rebounding.
Yeah, that's my plan thus far. It's funny, my eyes have gone all over the place from, Ben Wallace to to Kareem to Wilt, and then Dwight Howard was in there, and it was either going to be Wilt or Dwight. So I got my size. It's my pick, right? So
it's still my pick. Still my pick.
Oh right, yeah, because
they're the back to back. Okay. But I guess that gives you a little extra time to think. But now for my backup, who would be a solid 6-man? And I'm, again, thinking from a street ball perspective, you definitely want a guy who can handle the ball. You definitely want a guy who can, make the flashy passes, get the oohs and ahs out of the crowd, because that's going to build up momentum, not just for them, but the whole entire team is going to get behind you. That's just the biggest thing with street ball. And, people will be like, oh, you need a lockdown defender stuff. Don't know if that's quite as imperative, like when everyone on here is pretty much an elite offensive player, except maybe like a handful, right? So I'm not as focused on that, but I know a guy who once could spin the ball on his finger for hours at a time, had insane passing abilities, even though he wasn't really listed as a point guard, but he could play point guard and he could play shooting guard and he could shoot at a high level. Some people say if the 3-point line existed when he was around playing, he could have scored more than 40 baskets a game. I'm going to go with Pistol Pete Maravich as my pick.
Yeah, and I love the segue or intro you gave for him. Really defining that pick makes a lot of sense. He was definitely, I was planning to pick him in the next couple. So, yeah, it seems like I preempted you and you've preempted me a couple times here. So, I'm going to stick, and I'm presuming, we're going to take everybody at their best in their primes. I'm going to go with, because I got my size.
Yeah, because someone like a Ty Lawson on the Rockets probably.
But it's so funny to see those guys and I'm like, oh, would I pick him? Wait, why would I pick him now?
Or like a Jimmer Fredette. Well, I mean.
Yeah. Why not? Why not? You know what? Someone who I think could really, really fit in here really well is Blake Griffin. Might seem a little random to pick him this early with all the different names you got on the board, but I think between AI and my other big men, I think there could be a lot of lob action going on down there. You know what I mean? Back and forth, depending how many of them I play. And I got T-Mac in there too, breaking down the lane. I see just so much potential to penetrate the lane that there's going to be a lot of balls just up in the air, getting ready to get slammed through the net. So I think, I think I'm confident throwing that guy in there because I think he can go up and get a lot of those balls.
Yeah, I don't think it's even a random pick really, because I'm not gonna lie. Like, if I wasn't gonna take Dwight, I was gonna probably take Blake Griffin there.
Yeah,
because I wanted someone who's athletic and maybe not like I kind of picked Dwight because he has the defensive edge, which I know I said like that's not super huge, but if you got two of the elite offensive big men in league history, I gotta at least like think from that perspective a little bit. So
yeah,
but yeah,
I'll be on, only because now I'd be willing to give it, because I was thinking Vince Carter for a second, but Vince Carter's motor versus Blake Griffin's motor. I think Blake Griffin has a little more motor. Vince Carter has a great motor when he really wants it, but then it was hit or miss. So I was like, I'll go with Blake Griffin, more of a cleanup guy. So I got my shooters and my cleanups.
Yeah, I like that.
Back, right?
Yep, back to you.
Okay.
We are in round 7, by the way.
I'm gonna,
so we're
you know
halfway
what?
through.
We're only halfway through, but I don't want to lose them too early or lose them to you late or whatever. I'm gonna go with it. I'm drafting Skip to my Lou. Drafting Rafer Alston, just because I know enough. I watched enough of him back in the day and watched enough of his tapes and stuff to know when it comes to street ball, he is the real deal. And if I want to have a true court general, a true Chris Paul style point guard for my street ball team, I can't think of a better choice.
Yeah, I actually was going to pick him with one of my next 2 picks. So that was a good choice. That was a good choice for sure. But now I'm gonna have to think like another direction. Like who should I go with now? Because I'm thinking like I definitely need a solid backcourt, because if you got kind of a lot of like more traditional type of point guards, a few guys that can play flashy. I still think like from the shooting department, that's my biggest strength right now. But some of the guys that are go ahead.
One little guard, AI.
Yeah.
Well, I guess with Rafer, but yeah.
Do I want to go with like size, or like, I'm not gonna lie, there really isn't a whole lot of bigs left on here, and good thing I have 2 picks, because I'm gonna go. You know what? I think I have an idea for like who I'm gonna go with after this. But all right, my first pick. You got Kareem, you got Wilt, you got Blake Griffin, and I have Dwight and I have Shaq, but I feel like I might need one more big to match up a little bit. I want someone who can play with a lot of athleticism, and I think the best choice up here left, especially someone who can do it on both ends a little bit, is probably Amari Stoudemire. I'm gonna go with Stat.
I was gonna pick him maybe last round, but then I went
I had to.
And then I went, I'll get skipped to my Lou. Oh, that's so funny.
I couldn't let you get Blake Griffin and Amari Stoudemire. I feel like that would have just been unfair. So that's what I'm gonna go with there. Now I'm looking at like, some of the guards maybe, and this might seem like kind of crazy. I mean, I feel like this guy, similar to just street ball as a whole, like I'm making this draft pick because this guy has the experience. He knows what it's like to be around like some of these big parks and play with a bunch of guys like standing along the baseline and the sideline and stuff like that, and the ups and downs and stuff, the cheers, the boos. Some of these guys, it's more so like we think they might play good, but it's like they're not strong enough, or they can't handle the ball well enough, or they don't have the mindset. But I know this guy thrived playing street ball, and it might not seem, I don't know. I think personally, like it's a really good pick. Dr. J, Julius Erving.
Yep.
I'm going with him.
Yeah. Great pick. I was kind of hoping he'd be one of those ones that like hangs around towards the end, and then I maybe pick him with my last pick. So,
and I wasn't gonna say like, so I wasn't saying it would be a bad pick. I just think like for like the direction of my team, like maybe it wouldn't have made too much sense, but I want to make sure I can get like that wing player that I can rely on, especially someone who, as I said, the oohs and ahs of the crowd, like street ball, like you want guys who can dunk, throw down, and who can throw down better. At least that's left on this list. I mean, you even said like Vince Carter maybe, but you were like kind of on the fence with that. So I'm like, Dr. J, you know, he has street ball experience and he can do just that. So,
well, whether it's like, I mean, I don't have a ton of street ball experience, but I played some street ball and definitely a lot of like YMCA ball, which we'll call that rap ball or whatever. Who either playing in the gym at the Y or on the street hasn't tried to do the like who?
Yeah.
And that who hasn't gone up. And it's street ball, so there's 5 guys around the rim. They're all going up, and you do the little scoop. You know, who hasn't tried to do that? So, amazing pick. All right, am I back on the board?
Yes, you got 2 picks.
Okay, I got a bit of a random one because I need I've got the guys on my team for the most part can play good defense, but I need that guy that's a little bit psychotic that can shut you down. And I'm picking him because he broke MJ's ribs. I'm going with none other than Ron Artest. And I'm going with Ron because it's street ball. And I think in street ball, you need that guy who's going to scare the hell out of the other team or make them worry to embarrass you too much or just make them think twice about whatever they're doing. And I think that's either going to be Ron Artest or Ben Wallace, and I'm going with Ron. Because I already got pretty good size. I think my defense is solid, and I think I want to solidify more of my guys who can guard, 1 through 3.
It's crazy how many guys I've been looking at to get, and then whether I said he would have been the next guy or not. Literally, I was thinking between Dr. J and Ron Artest for this.
Yeah.
But I'm Dr. J, I feel like he has a little more experience, so I went that direction. But Ron Artest, I think that's a really good pick. He definitely, if I was just going through the rest of my picks with what was available, he would have got drafted at some point.
Yeah, I'm thinking of a lot of the archetypes we put into a story about a street ball game and stuff, and he's that. I don't know. Do you know the movie Above the Rim? That's one of my movies from when I was young, and it's just Ron Artest, the kind of guy who would be in one of those movies and would be the scary guy. And I'm I think I need a prototype, and he's my prototype for sure.
That's valid reasoning. I can't refute that at all.
Yeah.
So we are in round 9 now. We got 4 more picks each. And you're starting it off. Who are you going with?
Some of these names on this list, it's kind of crazy we haven't picked them by now. Wrestling between a few. I think I'm just going with Steph. I'm going to take Steph Curry. That's my sort of your Michael Jordan pick. That's my safe pick at this point. Some Steph Curry. Guys going to shoot from the parking lot.
Yeah, I was also thinking Steph as well. Those were literally the 2 guys I was thinking of the most on my last 2 picks and did not pick between Ron Artest and Steph Curry. So I like those picks, actually. I can't even say anything bad really about it. The biggest thing why I didn't pick Steph is just I feel like street ball, and while it's improved in recent years, just his strength and stuff like that, he might just be a little bit too little, for street ball, and that's kind of been the biggest knock on him always. So that's why my next pick, you pick Steph Curry, greatest shooter ever, but at least in the modern era, at least if there was a closest thing to Steph Curry, a lot of people would have to say it's Damian Lillard. And that's why I'm going to go with Damian Lillard.
Yeah, good pick. Great pick. I wanted to pick Dame Dollar. I wanted him.
Yeah. So I had to go with that too, especially because I don't know actually what their both their backgrounds are in terms of street ball, but I just have a feeling I feel like Dame has played a little more. I don't know why I have that feeling. I just feel like he lives for the moment. When you see him do the Dame time and the wave and stuff like that, those are things that you'd see from maybe a street ball environment. You know what I mean? So.
Oh yeah, the Dame's the dog, and he's that Rough Rider style. Him and Curry, obviously most people put Curry above him, rightfully so. But they're neck and neck, right? And Dame's that guy who really wants it, right? Whereas Curry's that guy staying on top. So it's the hunger, the dog in Dame. Like, you know, that's the guy you want on your streetball team for sure. NBA team, streetball, whatever, but definitely on your streetball team.
Yeah. So I have another pick here. I'm thinking between a couple guys. There's like not a whole lot of, the thing is like I said, there's not a whole lot of bigs left, but I don't think really I need to go for a big at this point. It might seem not the greatest, but I want someone who I know maybe can play off the ball a little bit. Someone that could be a sharpshooter. And for that reason, you know, I know this guy has played his fair share of street ball as well, but I don't know, man. I need a catch and shoot guy. I got a lot of guys that can handle the ball, from, you know, Pete Maravich to obviously like Dame and Kyrie, and I mean Michael Jordan's gonna get the ball a lot too. So I'm gonna go with I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna go with J.R. Smith.
Oh, that's what I was thinking, and I was thinking about picking him too. But like, no, I was like, oh, that shooter, having that hot guy at the top. What was his shot? That one on the break, man. You could rely on him, but then he could dunk too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had to do it. Honestly, like before we started this, if you would have told me I'm picking J.R. Smith, I probably wouldn't have believed you. But here we are.
Well, because everyone on this list for the most part is like very good and or great or the best of all time. So once we picked a bunch of the greats, or even just a few of them, you start thinking about, well, how am I going to craft this team? Yeah. It'd be easy for just, well, I got first pick, and we go back and forth, the best player, the best player, the best player, until there's no best players left. But once you've gotten a few, you start thinking, well, what do I need, right?
Yeah, it's not like so much with, you know, you could pick, you know, Jordan and Kobe and Durant and Curry and like all these, you know, perimeter players that can score at a high level, but it's like, would they all fit together? You know what I mean? And that's why it's like, you know, I have Michael Jordan and Kevin Durant, so I got two of them, but you also have Kobe and Steph Curry, so you got two of them yourself. So it's like, I feel like you need a little bit of balance like that. You can't just like throw all these alphas into the same pool and think that they're all going to swim.
Yeah. You know, and I think my sort of response to that pick, yeah, that's your side, so it's me, right?
Yes.
My response for that, because I was eyeing these few too. I'll go with Lou, Lemon Pepper Lou Williams.
I like that.
Again, for that factor of just having that guy who can get hot. You know, I need that guy who can get hot. I was tempted to go with Baron Davis, but I got enough of that, I think. Obviously, Penny's still there. Penny was tempting, but now we're filling out that roster, and you're right. We're thinking about it. I'm like, where's that hot shooter? I need another hot shooter. So I'm going with Lemon Pepper Lou Williams.
Yeah,
multiple six man of the year winner. So, you know, it's not a bad pick at all.
I like that pick. I was thinking about him a little bit. I was also thinking kind of about Baron Davis. And yeah, like I think Lou could definitely do more like on the dribble than JR. I think maybe at least, well, maybe for you, like your team probably needed a guy more so that could like do stuff like a little bit more so like on the dribble than me. So that's why I was like, Lemon Pepper Lou, you're going to stay to the side today. So
yeah, I feel you. What are we at? Is that 10?
That is 10. So we're in the last two rounds. You start round 11. I'll start round 12. And then we'll have our teams.
Okay. That's getting interesting. Okay. Man, you already got Pistol Pete, so. Oh, do I just make a boring pick? Oh, no, I got one more. This is Streetball. Jamal Crawford. I'm taking him. That's my 11th pick, right?
That is your 11th pick, yes.
Jamal. I mean, the reason's obvious. You're talking about the guy who's got arguably some of the best shakes, in the history of the game. You see plenty of moves from him in an NBA game that are street ball worthy. Yeah, I'm getting kind of guard heavy now a little bit, but I don't care. It's a guy he's just going to play the game so naturally, and he's one of the few players I've seen live. I saw him a few years ago. They came to Vancouver, and I saw him pull some moves, and he's pretty good. He's pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong with Jamal Crawford. I think if we were doing a list of like, if we each were just picking our top 12 street ball players, I'm sure he probably would be in both of our lists. And like we've said, it's just a matter of like fitting the team together, which is like kind of the hardest thing, because like you've never had to probably assemble a team of 12 street ball players together and think like, how is it going to work? And like that's kind of like.
Did he still? I can't remember. Was his last game the one where he dropped like 40 or 50 in his last game? Years ago.
I think he came back like briefly and played with the Nets, for like 3 games in the bubble or something. And I think like, that was it.
Last game, and that guy's gonna be hungry. He's gonna be hungry.
Yeah, that was a crazy game though. Like, especially because like more people were like, "Oh, Dirk's retiring soon," but it's like, well, Jamal Crawford just dropped like the oldest 50 piece ever.
Yeah.
So
just doing it Jamal style.
Yeah. But anyways, we got 2 more picks. I'm actually a little glad that you went with the double guard route, because that's going to allow me to go with a double guard style as well to end this out. So, my 11th pick, obviously I got to stick a little bit with the theme of shooting, and another guy who can play as a catch and shoot guy, another guy who can be really saucy with the ball, and he can play really quick. And people forget when he was, in his prime, he actually was a high flyer too in high school. Then he went overseas. He didn't play in college. And then he came to the NBA. He actually was picked to be in the dunk contest one year, and then he got hurt. I'm going to go with my guy, Brandon Jennings, man. I'm going with Brandon Jennings for my round 11 pick.
Was he Rookie of the Year?
He was not. It was Tyreek Evans that year, but...
Okay, yeah, but he was definitely in the running, because I remember he dropped like a 40 or 50 piece in his rookie year, didn't he? Because Milwaukee sucked.
It was, I think, him, Tyreek Evans, and Steph were the top 3 that year. Yeah. So that's my 11th pick. And my 12th pick, some people would say, like, at this point, like, your hands are tied, like, you have to go with this pick, but realistically, I think maybe this is what my team needs. I said I'm going the double guard route. I just picked a guy who more so will be used as a catch and shoot type of guy, can be a little saucy with the ball and stuff. I think this guy, especially at the top of the top, played really well off the ball, moving off the ball, back cuts. He could rise above anybody, and he's a point guard. I think I would say the most athletic point guard ever, and he's right here behind me. It's Derrick Rose, man. I can't leave Derrick Rose off any list that I ever do. And yeah, so.
I like, dude, I was thinking about Derrick Rose probably at least in my last few picks, especially going the guard route there. Mm-hmm. But like you said, you start to think about what your roster needs, and well, it couldn't hurt adding any of these guys, and you just start picking other guys. But Derrick Rose is like prime D Rose, that flight, that explosiveness, that ability to just rip apart a defense. I mean, either him or Russell Westbrook had to get picked at some point there. So yeah, it's going to lose one of them.
I'm sure someone's going to look at this and be like, well, you picked Jennings over Rose at the end, but I kind of did that for the anticipation factor more so than anything.
Yeah, let's do pick your way, for sure.
But no, I think both of them, especially in a street ball game, could definitely thrive. And it's not like, we're at the point where like we can make some fun picks anyways, even if it didn't work out. So
it's kind of like just what kind of a product you want to put on the court, because it's a show. You're still trying to win, but it's a show. It's like the 2001 All-Star game.
But yeah, so you have you started us off with Allen Iverson. Now you're closing us off with the last pick. Who do you think?
Just because I kind of still think about, size, at least having like some normal size guys. I think I will go with Vince Carter, just because at the end of the day, even though I said I question his motor and stuff, Vince Carter is kind of like my 12th pick. It's a bit of a fun pick. I think it can't hurt to have, the guy who can do 360 windmills and jump over 7-foot Frenchman. I don't think it hurts to have him out there on a street ball court.
I respect that, especially because I picked D Rose. You had to pick Vince Carter to end it off. Only makes sense. So we got our teams assembled now. People have to, I guess, like comment and say what they think about each of our teams. But I want to ask. I like my team. I don't know. I think it might be a little bit hard for you. The biggest thing I want to ask you though, because like I said, there's 40 people in this pool. 24 of them got drafted. So of these 16 guys that did not get picked, who were you eyeing that you're like, man, if I had like another pick or 2 more picks, like he would be in the running for that?
I was eyeing Tiny for sure. Tiny Archibald. Stephon Marbury came across my mind a million different times, just like best player ever to come out of Coney Island and sort of underrated, a sleeper guy. Russ, because of, his ability to just rip apart anybody. And, thought about like, classic guys like George Gervin and Earl Monroe. But, at the end of the day, I didn't grow up watching them. So, it's easier to attach to like, oh, I'll take Wilt or I'll take Kareem because I know so much about them. Whereas those guys, as great as I know they were, it's just I didn't watch them. So, when I went with what I felt like I knew.
Yeah, I think looking back at this, I'm a little surprised. I think like with me picking Durant and you picking T-Mac, like I think that round maybe solidified that neither of us would pick him, at least not unless it was like the last pick or two. But Carmelo Anthony, like that's a little surprising because like he could heat up as well like no other. So that is a tough one. I think Connie Hawkins maybe doesn't get the credit he deserves in general, but I think as from a street ball perspective as well. You even mentioned like the Iceman. Earl the Pearl Monroe is another one. Neither of us picked LeBron. We both left in there. Yeah,
I just because you think about street ball, and like I said, you bring in some of those environmental factors. That's why I forgot to mention one other guy was Ben Wallace. If I picked Ron Artest, then I would have felt like I had to get someone like Ben Wallace on there because I was like, I need some guy that like scares the other team a little bit, right? Physically, defensively, it's almost like you need that guy out there that you're like, I don't even know if that guy here to score, but he's going to do something about this game. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, Melo, you mentioned. Melo, one of the best isolation scorers of all time. And, you'd think with all those one-on-one matchups in a street ball game, might have some leverage and an advantage, but I just felt like visually in my mind, I thought about too many guys going in and whacking the ball out of his hands or something, like impatiently. And I'm thinking Melo doesn't have that. He wasn't great. He wasn't bad. He was actually better than people gave him credit for. But he wasn't known as like an elite passer out of the post. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He wasn't known as the guy making all these plays out of the post. He kind of needed to score down there to be effective.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. That's why if we were doing it like ranking these players, like he'd probably be somewhere up there for sure. But it's just a matter of like the team. And with like LeBron, it's like I feel like he's just a player that's mostly geared toward a team oriented, like an organization structured game of basketball. Not like more of a freelance.
He builds the team.
Yeah, he builds the team. Like in street ball, it's like you're all out there, like you guys figure it out. There's no coach, there's no GM, and those are like two of the things that I feel like makes him maybe the player he is in the NBA. So with that not being a thing in this realm, it just didn't make as much sense. I think Penny Hardaway as well was another one. Obviously, like you said, like Westbrook definitely was considered. Ty Lawson even. But yeah, Beasley, Nick Young, like there's just like all these guys. I mean, white chocolate. Neither of us picked white chocolate.
Yeah. Well, like I said, once you've got a few picks and you start thinking about the construction of the team, right? And then actually him and who else was? Oh yeah, him and Penny. You mentioned Penny. Him and Penny definitely crossed my mind a few times. It was just like you're at a certain, and that's the thing. Your picks start to impact who I think I should pick. Who I pick start to impact who you think you should pick. Like, I think at the end of the day, I only picked a couple real true big men, right? Because I felt like I have enough overall size up front with like T-Mac and stuff like that. And it's street ball at the end of the day. So you know, you got Shaq, you got the best big man I think you could pick for street ball. So it's like, if I just pick two guys that can do something about him, you know, I think the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah. And then there's, you know, Jimmer Fredette, which the big, I mean, he wouldn't have been like, I guess, super terrible with like fit wise, but I just feel like, you know, him. Gamer. Oh wait, what were you saying? Sorry.
He could shoot and he was a gamer.
Yeah. I just don't know how he'd like adjust to like a role, even if it's like even if we drafted like the best 5, and let's say I just threw Jimmer Fredette on my team, like he probably wouldn't be the face. He wouldn't be getting the most shots, and like no matter what. So, and we've seen him in the NBA, like that was kind of the biggest problem, where it's like maybe he couldn't adjust to a role like that. So that's kind of the biggest like red flag for me when I was thinking about it. But other than that, like if he could adjust like that, and then I don't know if we saw like what he did at BYU, maybe like I don't know. It could have been an interesting pick for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. Some good names on there. It was a good list. It was well curated.
For sure. Well, you guys are gonna have to let us know who has the better team. Who are you surprised that got left off this list? And you know, I did a lot of thinking about trying to narrow it down to 40 people for this. Like, who didn't make this pool that you think should have been on here? I feel like honestly, like in the future, we could like redo this or something like that. But like other players, or like add in a few more, with like maybe a different style, something like that.
We should have names like John Morant and Steven Adams on
there. that would be
insane. Kendrick Perkins, put him on the list too.
Kendrick Perkins, just throw Yao Ming in there, my guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, appreciate you once again being on. Again, hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching. You got any other final thoughts?
I'm good. Signing out on that. I'm good to go. Been a pleasure. Been a blast.
For sure. Well, again, appreciate you guys staying through, watching the whole video. And yeah, I think that's going to do it for us. So we're out. Peace.